Hey everybody, sirens sounded across northern Israel for the first time ever because of a Houthi missile that was heading their way. The Houthis struck at northern Israel, and we'll talk all about that, as well as the what going on in Gaza and the new truce proposal being brought forward by Egypt and Qatar that would see a 7-year ceasefire between the IDF and Hamas. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more on this condensed version of today's live. Thank you for watching the Hot Zone. I appreciate you all very much. All right, now let's talk about what's going on in Gaza. First of all, over the last 24 hours, there have been 35 plus airstrikes by the IDF. They're continuing to hammer Gaza, and they, as a part of those airstrikes, destroyed some heavy machinery that belonged to Hamas. So bulldozers and backhoes and things like that were being used, according to the IDF, to dig tunnels or dig out tunnels that had already been collapsed, and create fighting positions and other military uses. So they took those off the table in some airstrikes. Gaza's health ministry is now saying more than 51,000 people have died in Gaza. And if that were true, which nobody knows since the Gaza health ministry is a wholly owned subsidiary of Hamas, but if it were true, it just goes to show that maybe attacking Israel on October 7th was a really bad idea, don't you think? So let's talk about the attacks on uh, northern Israel by the Houthis. They fired a ballistic missile and some reports said a drone as well at northern Israel for the first time ever. It was shot down. I believe it did enter Israeli airspace, but there were no casualties from that. So the Houthis still making a nuisance of themselves, but not really accomplishing anything in terms of degrading Israel or harming Israel in any way. The United States is continuing to strike at the Houthis. They hit probably, well, we've had now uh, hundreds of sorties over the last 38, 39 days, whatever it is. And as Preston Stewart pointed out in his video today, that's a real war. I mean, we're going beyond just a few airstrikes here, and we're getting into, we're actually at war with Yemen. Now, it hasn't been declared by Congress. Maybe it should be, and we don't have troops on the ground, at least not many. We have some special forces, but the Houthis are viewing this as an all-out war. They put out a 4-minute video yesterday showing their special forces doing all sorts of stunts like trained SEALs, where they're uh, like balancing on barrels that are painted with the flag of Israel as they're walking toward the target and shooting at their targets on the range and stupid things like that. Of course, there's no scenario in combat where you would have to balance on a barrel while you're shooting at your target. So what that is supposed to prove, I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous, as are most things that the Houthis put out. But siren sounding in northern Israel is certainly remarkable, without a doubt. Now, on this ceasefire proposal between Egypt and Qatar, well, Egypt and Qatar are bringing it forward. They're proposing a 7-year truce between Hamas and the IDF in exchange for Hamas releasing all of the hostages, all of them. And they also said laying down their arms. The Egyptians are saying Hamas would have to lay down their arms. Hamas is saying that's a red line. We're not laying down our arms ever. Israel would have to pull all of their troops out of the Gaza Strip and agree not to fight Hamas for 7 years. Now, anybody can see that this is a non-starter with both Hamas and Israel. So it's kind of a ridiculous plan to put forward. However, the carrot that they're putting forward of helping Israel get all of their hostages back in one go does make it appealing to many people in Israel, because this is the first time that they've had that come up in that way. And if they agreed to it and did happen to get all of their hostages back, that would be a very happy day in Israel, and it would mean that Israel could actually say that they've completely accomplished one of the goals that they set after October 7th, getting their hostages back and destroying Hamas. Hamas would not be destroyed yet, but they would get their hostages back. And so um, if if the Israelis were to agree to that and get Hamas somehow to agree to that, it could see the return of all of the hostages, and that would be a very, very good day. Now, Israel, I'm sure Hamas wouldn't go long without doing something that would provoke Israel again, and Israel could then go right back in there. But it turns out Hamas was trying to capture more hostages in the ambush that they did on a jeep full of female Israeli soldiers the other day. They were from the intelligence collecting unit, and they got hit with an IED. I'm sorry, a RPG that flipped their jeep over, and then the quick reaction force came, and Hamas hit them with an ambush with an improvised explosive device that killed one IDF soldier, first IDF soldier to die since the March 18th resumption of hostilities in Gaza. So in the West Bank, the IDF is conducting more and more, not just the IDF, but also the Israeli police conducting more and more operations. They're taking out lots and lots and lots of weapons and explosives and grenades and rockets and all sorts of stuff out of there. So that's a good thing. But another good thing is they're either killing or recapturing many of the prisoners that have been released in the hostage exchanges that were done back that ended in March 18th. So I said this at the beginning, when they're releasing those guys, those are terrorists. They're going to go right back to their terrorism. They're going to go right back to attacking Israel. They said as much when they let them go. They would, immediately say, I'm going to be fighting Israel again. And so Israel now has an opportunity a second time to take them off the table, either permanently or temporarily, by making them prisoners again. And at least 10 of those that were captured yesterday were guys that had been released before. So that's pretty exciting. All right, that's all I've got for today. Just a short update for you. I appreciate all of you. Please go to chuckholton.com and become a subscriber over there. We're putting up a lot of extra stuff. I'm in New York on a layover right now, and I'll be heading soon to Iraq tonight. I'll be heading out to Iraq and then from there into Syria. So I'll be giving you reports whenever I get a chance to, but don't expect that I'll be doing daily lives from Syria, because the security situation there makes it just impossible for me to do that. But stay tuned, because I'm going to be sending whatever reports I can to chuckholton.com for supporters only, and during the trip. And then after the trip, we'll release that stuff to the wider audience here on YouTube. So thank you for being subscribers and supporters, and for following the Hot Zone. I'm doing everything I can to bring you good news, and with my perspective from 20 years of being a war correspondent stuck in there. So thank you very much for watching. God bless you. We'll see you next time.